groove you find is the key now. Reach your fear and you will all be free now. Community, it's time to get better. You can't avoid it, we're all in this together. Head high, fill your heart with love and light now. Come together and it will be alright now. Come together, you can't run forever. Come together, it's now, oh, it's never. Community, kids are dying in the streets now. Change your mind, unity is all we need now. Community, kids are dying in the streets now. Change your mind, unity is all we need now. Change your mind, unity is all we need now. Change your mind, unity is all we need.
Hello, Chris Sanders with Community All Unite TV. We are on Comcast Cable and Xfinity, channel 1097 and 190. And we have a great guest today. Guess what? We have a councilwoman of Irvington, Councilwoman Renee Burgess here. And we are going to find out information of how she became councilwoman. And we're going to find out about her vision for Irvington and being a part of a great team, of course, with Honorable Tony Voss. And we just had a meeting with him yesterday. It went excellent. And I feel honored and privileged to be here and have an interview with you and get to discuss and get to know who you are. Because I've always seen you at different events, but we never really got a chance to talk. So this is just a relaxing conversation. Don't feel pressured.
No, actually, I am relaxed.
Yeah, good.
Your introduction was awesome, so that kind of set the tone for the rest of the interview here. So.
Yeah, the mayor is so blessed to have an excellent team where he can just bounce ideas off you guys and have open communication and have no animosities in his. Does anybody on the council not like the mayor?
No. One thing I can say honestly, and actually seeing is believing. We are all on the same page.
Sure.
You know, we're all headed in the same direction, and I have to give it up for my mayor. I'm not being biased or anything, but he is the greatest mayor that I've ever worked with.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I love his vision. I love his focus. I love his commitment, and I like the way he communicates with us all. He doesn't have that I syndrome.
Right.
It's us. It's we.
Yeah.
You know, and the majority of us, we are born and raised in Irvington, including himself. So he understands the dynamics as well as what's needed now, where we're going. And like I said, the the togetherness is what I love.
Right. Stronger
we're
together.
All on one accord, one team, one dream.
Sure. So give them your steps of how you became councilwoman first, and then we'll go into some issues.
Wow. How Renee Burgess became councilwoman. I often ask myself that. But it all started, I guess, when I was a little younger. My mom and dad, Raymond Burgess, Sarah Burgess, they no longer with us now. They were basically community activists. My father more so than my mom, right? So as time went on, I used to go with them to meetings. Yeah. You know, I was just observing. I maybe 18 years old, and at the time, I think I hate to date me, but maybe I'm gonna just say the early 80s. It might have been the late 70s, but the early 80s, right? And we used to go to a lot of community block meetings. And at that time, there were a lot of gangs, right? And this is when I was growing up, and you would see all these shrines with, candles and stuff. And that's what concerned me, aside from what my mom was concerned about, with just basic quality of life issues. Sure. What I couldn't stand, because when I would walk to school, I would see these clusters of gangs, and they were very active at that time. And it was very disturbing. So one of the meetings we went to at City Hall, right? I didn't know much about it then. I was just this little, this young lady that was like, wait a minute, why we have to live like this? Because 10 years ago, it wasn't like this, right? Why I have to walk past shrines? Why I have to be scared and I have to take the left way rather than the right? Sure. So I went to this meeting and I shared my concerns. I didn't think I was doing anything special. I just knew this was the place that I expressed myself.
How old were you at the time?
I was like, I'm gonna just say my early 20s.
Okay, got it.
Right, maybe 18, but my early 20s. So I went there, and lo and behold, they listened to me, and I didn't know when I looked behind me, I had a whole group of residents standing up, and they clapped. And I'm like, what is this about?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't think nothing of it because, like I said, I was just really concerned about what was going on in the area.
Yeah.
Right? So from then, I would say a couple of years later, they asked me to be a district leader.
Right.
Because I kept going to the meetings with my mom on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
And then from district leader, I was asked to be on the school board.
Mm-hmm.
So thankfully, I was voted in school board. I was a school board member for like maybe 12 years, vice president, and then I became president.
Right.
And then from there.
So what do you have to do to be a school board member?
Well, it's not so much what you have to do, it's just what I was doing all along. I was just being active in the community.
Mm-hmm. So you didn't have to get signatures and stuff like that?
Okay, I'm sorry, the process. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
my apologies. Well, yeah, of course you'll go around the area and you would knock on doors asking people for their support.
Yeah.
But by then, thank God, I had already kind of established a name for myself because they was used to seeing me going to different events.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and on my own, what I would do, because I love, I love my town, I love my area, I love my residents. Every summer, I would give block parties.
Mm-hmm.
And because I live across the street from a playground, which I'm so blessed to say that was named after my father for, some of the work he did in the town.
Right.
And, I would just, out of my own, I didn't have much, and it didn't really take much, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
I would put out little flyers, handmade flyers for the kids around the area.
Yeah.
And I would have a block party, and some of the neighbors would help me. And by doing that, going back to how, I got the signatures, that's why I said my name wasn't really that foreign.
Right.
Residents were kind of familiar with me. And then because I, was brought up in the school system, it wasn't that hard for me to go out of my ward. We call each town of Irvington wards.
Sure.
There's 4 east, south, north, and west. It's basically the makeup of Irvington.
Right.
And that's how people became familiar with me, and I became familiar with them. And they was gracious enough to vote me in to these positions, in which I stand now as the president of the precious township of Irvington.
Right. So now when you did your first walk to the mic,
wow,
were you afraid? How did you overcome the fear? Now, because that's something that I truly want to promote, because young folks, they're afraid sometimes of following their dream, or they're afraid of speaking in front of people and of course expressing themselves in a calm manner. It's normally, if they're in front of people, they might be emotional about something and they'll just, or out of control, just expressing something. But you went up there, and I'm sure you had passion about what you were talking about, because you were talking about, walking past shrines and seeing, possibly gang violence and things like that. I don't know, you didn't cry, did you?
No, I wasn't that emotional, but my emotions came out and kind of overpowered my fears. Because believe it or not, I grew up as a shy person. I grew up with 4 older brothers, and I grew up as a little tomboy, a little quiet. I would actually stutter, right? But I noticed that when I was passionate about something, which I was at that time, because it was hurtful. Like, I would actually see gang fights on my corner, right? And it bothered me. So I think that would kind of overpower my fears. But ordinarily, I was a shy person, and if I may just kind of step back a little bit from that got me out of probably like speaking in front of people in general now. I'm into music. I love music. That's how I used to be. Nobody knows this, so don't ask me to sing, anybody. I used to be a singer, and my mom used to put me in pageants and pageants and different shows to have my voice out there and heard. And I think it's something about the stage when I get out there, I can be like freaking out, like nervous, shaking in a whole nine. But it was something about expressing myself when I got out on stage that it just took that away. And I think that's how I see it now. I may get nervous, like even now before I was here, believe it or not, a little anxiety, nothing overpowering, thank God. But it just, I just kind of blank it out, and once I start talking, I say a little prayer because my foundation belief. I have a strong foundation in God, and I pray a lot. So I ask God every time that He uses me to be a voice for the people of my town or whomever, that He speaks through me and it comes out without flaw. So I rely heavily on that, and then my emotions and what I'm feeling at the time, and it just comes out.
Okay. So I used to be afraid. First time I've ever spoke in front of people, I forgot what I was supposed to say, and of course I was kind of embarrassed. I had a bullet points, of course, so I went through the thing in like 2 minutes. So thank you and good night.
Believe it or not, I've experienced that a couple of times, right? So what I used to do, right? I would become familiar with the subject depending on what we're doing. But if I wasn't, I would kind of be familiar with what I'm getting myself into, and I would just speak from the heart. And if I don't know something, I'm a very honest person. Sometimes people call me brutally honest. If I don't know something, I just tell you I don't know. I'm not going to sit there and make something up, because that's when you start flipping over your words and you can't get your thoughts right. So if I don't know something, I'm sorry, I get back at you, but right now I don't know.
Sure. And then from the Board of Education, then somebody said, I want you to be our councilwoman.
Yes, they asked me would I represent the township of Irvington and would I run on a team, which was Mayor Tony Valtz, the Honorable Councilwoman Charnette Federic, and Dr. October Hudley. We ran on a ticket. And actually, this was all formed and mentored by the late Bilal Beasley, and Levy C. Jones. Throughout my whole political career, aside from what I didn't know I was being prepared for from my mom and dad, they're the ones that kind of, took me by the hand and showed me a lot, talked to me a lot, helped me understand what helping people is really about. You can talk all day long. It's actions is what makes the difference. And being as honest as possible as you can. Just keeping it real.
Right. So Bilal was one of your mentors.
Yes.
And who else is your mentor? What other mentors do you have?
Like I said, Levy C. Jones. Those are the main two that I can really say that sticks out politically with me. Everyone else is like maybe Ronald Rice from a distance, because he knew my dad, and I love his style. I love his work. I don't want to.
That's the senior.
I don't want to keep naming because I may forget someone. But it's so many during my journey that I'm just grateful to have had the opportunity to walk with people, like literally walk with them and talk with them and join up with them in different activities, and really just got to know them on a personal level. And I'm very grateful that they cared enough about me and what I was doing to take me in to mentor me.
So now, when you become a councilwoman, what is the biggest part of being a councilwoman, like your learning curve? What was the hardest part to grasp hold of?
Very, very good question. When you're a council person, I had to get used to people coming up to me thinking that when you're in that capacity of leadership, if they say, I want a brook built right there, they think you can do it right then and there. They don't know that it's a process. They don't know it's just not as easy because I have this title that I can say, okay, you want this house torn down right here, whether it's owned by someone or not, that it can happen. I think that was like the greatest challenge, because I like to help. That makes me feel good. So when I can't give an immediate yes, or if I can't do something right then and there, I feel as though, that I failed someone. I don't take it in like that, but if I can't do something, it bothers me. So saying no to a person when their expectations are so high, that I think that was the greatest challenge for me. Just knowing that you can't do everything, but as long as you're doing your best and whatever you can do overall to better the quality of life for not only myself, my family, but the whole community. You know, that's sufficient enough. And like I said, I'm a strong warrior for God, you know, and I keep him first, and I always run things through a prayer with him. And, you know, once I know I'm good with God, I know I'm good with everything and everybody else.
Sure. So now, do you ever like think that because you were successful at becoming councilwoman, that the higher aspirations is one thing? Of course, you know, most council people, they might have aspirations to be mayor one day. Mm-hmm. That's one. But then you're also a leader. You also become somewhat of a celebrity. Really? You don't think that you're somewhat of a celebrity?
No.
Every fundraiser we have, your face is big on the posters.
I don't think I'm a celebrity. I'm grateful and I thank you, but no, that's just a picture, just letting people know who you are. You know. Yeah,
but you gotta let as many people as you in your town. Everybody knows you.
Well, again, I was born and raised.
Yeah.
So you know, they know me that way, and they also know me as being, I guess, a political figure.
Yes.
You know, because you know you have a lot of mailings going out. Excuse me, and you have you're just out there a lot. Sure. You know, if you're doing what you're supposed to do, they're supposed to know you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's another thing when you're campaigning. A lot of people don't like campaigning because it takes a lot of physical work, but I like it because it puts you in touch with the people that really don't know. You have a lot of people that vote and don't vote, and believe it or not, it's a similarity between the two. Because some people just vote because they know they're supposed to.
Yeah.
Some people just live in town, but you know, because they live there and you know they just going on their life. So when you get to visit these people, that's another way to introduce yourselves to them, letting them know you have somebody here that if you can't make it, you know, I can be your voice.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
By the way, here's my literature. Read it over. If you have any questions, give me a call.
So yeah, so that takes getting used to.
It did, but I think 20 years plus, it's almost like a natural thing now. You know what I mean? Like I've even had people slam doors in my face because a lot of people is just not into it, and that's okay. I took it personal at first, like, oh my God, what did I do? Like, you just slammed the door in my face. I didn't even get my full name out. You know, it was like one of those movies, you know, and you knock on the door and they just slam before you even. But anyway, So, but aside from that, it's just knowing people, knowing the different dynamics, that everybody is not going to be into what you're into.
Right.
You know, but even for that person that slammed the door, you know, I still took an oath to do what I need to do for that resident, making sure that they get what they need, you know, in the services in my capacity.
Right. So, and when you go into door to door and you find out what the community really needs, what's the biggest thing that they really want and need?
Peace. They want safety. They want cleanliness. You know, and that's what I love about our mayor, because when we ran all together, and not only us, but our whole team, that's what we promote, clean and safety. And if you think about it, that's really the two keys in any township that, or any place that you would want. You know, because where there's cleanliness, there's safety. Where there's safety, there's cleanliness. And when you put the two together, there's pride. You know, and then from the pride, you get a place where people don't mind staying and growing. And then, you know, you have businesses coming in once they see what's going on in your town, that is clean and it's safe, and that the residents are good. You know, hey, you know, I want my business here, or I want to maintain my business.
Sure. And then the mayor told me that there's free food for those that might be struggling.
Yes, thank
so
God.
that is like, because what I was saying when you said that those two principles are two things that people want, then I was like, then you want to make sure your family's fed.
Oh, definitely. Because everybody is not okay. Everybody has struggles. Everybody's going through something, whether they were doing good at one time and something happened. You know, you can't judge anyone. So that's a segue as to saying, I thank God that we have, you know, different grants that helps the community, you know, especially during COVID. You know, every week we were blessed to have food for those that didn't have. We were able to, you know, if someone needed funding for rental assistance, even businesses, you know, we were blessed enough to have those funds available for them.
Now, which organization is providing the food?
INIC. Yes, that's one of our programs that we have that reaches out to the community, you know, when they need either rental assistance, food, guidance. You know, we have different departments that's even related to the health department.
Sure.
You know, in the health department, they work very active with the community and giving them what they need, whether it be like right now, the vaccines, that's a popular thing.
Yeah.
You know, we have programs for that.
Mhm.
So, you know, those two departments working hand in hand with the rest of the administration and of course the council in the town, you know, it's been very, very successful and helpful.
And then the thing after that is, of course, the homelessness. Folks that, you know, you said you got rental assistance, that's one, but then the folks that are, you know, homeless. How did you keep your homeless population down?
To be honest, Irvington never really had a high percentage of homeless people, but the ones that are struggling, like I said, we have programs. If we do see them, if we see someone on the street, of course, we'll just guide them to the department INIC and then help them depending on the needs and wants that they have at that time.
Right.
But there's very few and far in between, thank God.
Right. So then I'm gonna focus on a couple of ones that you said now. The safety. What have you done to accomplish that or raise that to a higher level of safety?
Well, I haven't done it by myself, but we have a police director, Tracy Bowers, and our police department that works hand in hand with the mayor and the council, and then of course the residents, and basically analyzing what our township needs, analyzing where the most, I would say, I don't want to say trouble, but
heated areas or something.
Yeah. Challenging areas,
yeah.
Right? Basically, we just get together and they put their minds together and they come up with a plan, and thank God it's been working. Our numbers have been down, I would say, since 2014. There's been a drastic change. You know, nothing's perfect.
Right.
You know what I mean? But we have made some excellent strides.
And so you still have a gang situation?
Not as bad as I was talking about back in the day.
Yeah.
More so back in the early 80s, it was more of a, now I was very young, you know what I mean? And they weren't as advanced as I would say the challenging gangs or whatever you want to call them now are, right? So we do have gang concerns in Irvington. Thank God it hasn't been out of control, because with the policing and everybody working together, it's not too bad. Thank God, but they are there. So we just trying to like educate the children more in school, like come up with a plan. Because if you start them young and let them know what's going on, and basically let them know that, listen, you don't have to do this, you know, because they see this stuff in school, and of course they're going to see it on the streets themselves. So the only thing we can do is try to educate the ones that's coming up to keep them from doing it, and the ones that are doing it now, you know, rather than just locking them up or whatever, you know, like before it really gets to a point where something has to be taken, just maybe talk to them, communicate, right, and try to change their path. See what's missing in their lives that's making them turn to that type of lifestyle. And just try to help them out the best that we can. But you know, if not, sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. If it don't work, then we have to do what we need to do to keep our town safe.
So now your police force is at the capacity that you like, or would you need more? No,
we definitely need more, and that's what we're working on now. But I have to say, for what we have, we're maintaining. You know, we can do a lot better, but like you'll be surprised with the officers that we have and the numbers that we have. They're doing an excellent job.
So if there was a hot block, what was one of the solutions? Because here they do the occupy the block sometime, or they'll march on that block that's real hot. And it works for a minute. I think that's a temporary solution.
It's something similar. However, we just add pressure in that particular area. You know, you have to kind of observe the block, see what type of activity is going on. And once you see the type of activity that's going on, you have to act accordingly to whatever the issue is. So if there's drug activity, right, you know what, you have to really have like a type of mechanism where they're going to see you often, as far as the police, to let them know that, listen, we can't continue this here. So we're gonna keep a like a flow,
Yeah, right.
some type of rhythm going until you actually get it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then sometimes it for the residents that are a bit more vocal, because when you're dealing with certain elements, you don't really want to get involved. But it helps when we communicate with the residents, letting them know that we have anonymous numbers that you can call and help us, do what we need to do.
Sure.
So reaching out, whether it be by mailings, whether it be by our local TV station, it's you kind of got to communicate with both. You got to have a hand in the streets, and you have to have a hand in trying to communicate with the residents. Because without the residents, it makes it harder to gain control.
Sure.
But that's what I've been observing on what we do.
Got it. Now, on education, I just was talking to her. She's a professor at Essex County College.
Okay.
And she was telling me they took civics out of schools because they don't want you to know your rights. They don't want you to know what power that you have as a person. The people, remember, was the power to the people?
Yes.
That's when the civics was in schools.
Yes.
And they would teach you about the Constitution. They teach you about your rights and how you can fight against things that you see are wrong in the system. But now we don't have that. What did you guys have civics in your schools?
Well, I'm not on the school board now,
right?
And I can't say what their curriculum is at this point, but I know they have some form of government that they're teaching. Yeah. Even if it's just the basics. But if they don't, I haven't heard or had any parents or concerns coming our way that it hasn't been taught. But in the midst of that, if it is a situation where they are lacking in that area, of course, I would get with the Board of Education, who's ever president or just the members, and I think it would be time to have a conversation with them, the superintendent, to see if we can kind of, get something going. Yeah,
they said they stopped the civics in schools because of the fact that there were so many people revolting and marching and knowing their rights.
Is that in Irvington? No,
I wouldn't say that's in Irvington, but I'm just saying in general.
Now, in general, I can't say, but in Irvington, there hasn't been an issue. But even on a general level, I still think it's something that can be done, similar to what I just said. You get together with the leaderships, the people, the stakeholders, the people that can make it happen. And it's time to sit down and go to the drawing board and do something about it.
God, so you're saying if you wanted to try to get civics back in schools, you would talk to the mayor, you would talk to the council people, and if they agree, they would rally behind that idea and bring it to the forefront.
We would have a conversation.
Yes.
It's something that we need to discuss, talk about, and see
Right.
It's just feeling good about where you live. It's feeling good about having your family sit on the porch and being able just to enjoy themselves.
Sure.
It's being able to go to our downtown area, which is Irvington Center, and going shopping. It's educating your children and feeling good about the system, and feeling safe when your child goes out, or when your parent goes out, or heck, when I go out.
Right.
It's just feeling good about, it's taking pride.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It's been an excellent conversation. I think I got all my questions. Of course, I can ask questions forever. This is something.
It's okay.
I'm getting good at this, right? So thank you so much again, Renee.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And we did another great show, I think, and it's the Community All Unite TV on Comcast Cable and Xfinity Channel 1097 and 190 every Thursday from 8 to 8:30. Thank you so much for your time. Over and out.
Love in Irvington.
Yeah.
Community. It's a fight now. Right now. It's a fight now. Community. It's a fight now. Head high. Get ready for a fight now. It's a fight now. Eyes wide. It's now. It's a fight now. It's a fight now. Just remember and fill your heart with love now. In your truth, you find is the key now. Reach your fear and you will all be free now.